Hey peeps, how's it going? How's it going? Long time no see. How's everyone doing? Everyone have a good Christmas, good New Year? Alright, Claudio. Hello, Al. Yeah, forget the imaginary Final Fantasy VII. I mean, there's so many options the way they could do that. I'll carry that on in the Discord sometime. You too, Claudio. You too. Good to be back. Yeah, we've got the final episode of Shenmue 3 running in the background here. Is that a reasonable volume, by the way? Let me know what the volume's like. You know, it's only supposed to be very quiet anyway, just kind of like a little bit of background sound. So I'm not kind of talking in complete silence, but you know, I don't want it overpowering me. So yeah, let me know if it's just right. But yeah, we've got a lot to get through. It's I have a lot to say about this game. Not much on the good side, quite a lot on the bad side. But yeah, so that'll be run. That's the final episode of the game. That is basically all of the meat of the game in one condensed little 30-minute segment. You don't even have to edit it to make it that way. Right, so I'll go with Claudio's question first, which was like, what do I think will happen with the series after 3? And honestly, I don't know. Like, which is the worst answer ever. There we go, I'm done. No, but like, I've written a few kind of like
Mr. Sure,
backgrounds,
Mr.
maybe
Uran.
a tiny bit too loud. Oh, okay. I did boost it up a second ago. Just okay. All right, no worries. Okay, that should be fine. Well, I hope that'll be fine. Let me know. Yes, because I just had so much to say about this game, and I knew if I didn't make at least a few bullet points or something that I'd end up leaving out loads of stuff. Hello, Ace. The salt is flowing. How's it going? Yeah, I wanted to write a few bullet points because otherwise I knew if I didn't, there's so much I want to say. And yeah, I'd forget half of it if I didn't. But yeah, like so in terms of kind of what's going to happen after this, I really don't know. They're already trying to rinse us with the DLC, which I think is borderline fraud. Like, I mean, literally, like, we gave the money to fund Shenmue 3 happening. They made Shenmue 3. They made a pretty average, meh version of Shenmue 3. And then, thought, oh, we're not going to spend all the money on Shenmue 3. We're going to spend some on DLC as well. And then we're going to charge you for it again. Yes, there is DLC, and no, it is not free, Claudio. That's what is like, I mean, that is gotta break some kind of rules, surely. Because there's no way that DLC is not being funded by the Kickstarter. So they've created a DLC separate from the game, presumably funded by the Kickstarter money, and they're charging you for it. And I mean, a cynical person would say that they've made Shenmue 3 so bad, or at least so little story progression that it forces fans to go, oh well, I have to get the DLC now, like, because that wasn't enough, you know, that wasn't a big enough fix, so I have to get the DLC. That's what a cynical person would say. Yeah, totally right. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, like, would it have to be Kickstarter? Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. So I think if 4 is, I don't know. The thing is, I imagine that how very cynical of you. They haven't announced any sales numbers yet, but because of the fact that the marketing was so bad, and it's a sequel to a 20-year-old game, I can only imagine that it's sold pretty badly. And also, I think if it had sold well, they'd be bragging about it. They'd be like, yeah, we sold 1 million in the first week, or whatever. You know, if it had sold well, they'd be bragging about it. And they haven't mentioned a word. So I can only imagine it sold really badly. Now, I guess they didn't need to make a load of money from sales because it's a Kickstarter, so it was mostly funded, you know, it was mostly kind of free anyway on their behalf. So they probably didn't need to sell it well anyway, but it sold really badly. And so I can't see any company wanting to invest a ton of money to make another one. If you would imagine the sales of Shenmue 4 would be at the absolute best would equal 3. Like it's not gonna beat 3, is it? If people haven't played 3, they're not gonna play 4. So the sales for 4 are gonna be at the absolute best as good as 3. So if 3 is bad, 4 is gonna be worse in terms of sales. So I just can't see how it can only be 4 can only be made by the Kickstarter in my mind, and I think a lot of fans are just fed, like they're so disappointed with how 3 was that I like. There'll still be loads of fans who would fund 4, but less than 3. Like less fans will fund 4 than 3, definitely. Can you imagine how much worse the sales would have been if they didn't release Shenmue 1 and 2? Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, Shenmue 1 and 2, like, what, you know, one of the most annoying, I said this to you a while ago, Al, but one of the most annoying things about 3 for me is that, it's almost so bad it's tainted my opinion of 1 and 2. Like, I know that sounds mad, but it's like, now I kind of look back and think, oh god, were they always just in it for the money? Because this just feels like a cash grab. It feels like lazy, like just, I don't know, it just feels so poor. And I am going to go through a list of why I think it's so poor. What's the general, if there is one, consensus? Yeah, I think I get the list. I do think we are in a bit of a minority, but not a tiny minority. I'd say you've probably got, like, I mean, I'm just making up numbers here, but just kind of from the people I've spoke to, I'd say you're talking like 20% of people say, oh my god, this is the best game ever, like it's the best in the series, I can't, you know, this is what I've been waiting my whole life for. So that's probably like 20% of people. 20% of people are probably like me and Al, who think it's absolute garbage. And then the other 60% are kind of like, yeah, you know, it's got quite a lot of flaws, but at least I've got to play some more Shenmue, and, you know, they're kind of, you know, in the middle. I'd say the percentage of people who love it and hate it are quite small, and most of them are just like, oh, well, you know, I don't know, they're willing to put aside the flaws in terms for the privilege of playing the game. Which the thing is, that this is what I want to say. Like, I went in with this with such low expectations, and I was kind of really open-minded, and I thought, you know, it's cheap, it's low budget, it's, you know, like, you know, Shenmue 1 and 2 were literally like the 2 of the most expensive games ever made, and this is done on a budget. So I went in thinking there's no way it's going to be, you know, right up there. It's not going to be a AAA game. I went in there with pretty low expectations, and it still managed to like come in way under what I expected. And the thing is, a lot of the stuff that's wrong with it is not even it's not even like a money problem. It's just stupid. It's like they didn't have, I mean, I assume they did. I'm saying it's like they didn't, but they must have, you would think. But it's like they didn't have a Shenmue fan overseeing, just going, that's crap, what are you doing? Don't do that, you know, you've ruined that. Change, you know, keep that the way it was, or what, you know. They didn't have it. It's like they didn't have anyone overseeing it and just thinking, and just like, it's just someone overseeing it and going, hang on a minute, is this fun? Is it going to be fun to make them do this for like 4 hours straight? like I don't know. Like Shenmue 1 and 2 were always slow paced, but not like this. My take seems to be that, I mean, yeah, pretty sure a lot of them are like, be great. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them are just like grateful we got the game, but I don't think that's the way. Like, I'm grateful we got it, or I was, but I'm only grateful if it's fun to play. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? I don't know. Ace. Ace just asking there if I'm going to buy the DLC. When I first got the game, I was like, yep, smashing. I'm going to buy the DLC day as soon as it comes out, no matter what. Now, honestly, I don't even know. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think I'm probably going to wait and find out. Because if it's just like more mini game, you know, I'll wait and hear what other people say or watch your video of it or something. Because if it's more mini games and more like, oh, you can go to this fighting arena and just fight loads of people, and it's just like, if it's just side quests, I'm not buying it. Simple as that. So it better provide some. One, it better provide some additional story. Otherwise, I'm not buying it. But the flip side to that is, if it provides additional story, that just adds to the scumminess of making the DLC. Like, because that means if it does add to the story, then that means that Shenmue 3 had virtually no story, and they deliberately made it with no story, with the intention of selling a DLC where the story comes. I mean, what planet are they on? I'm just catching everything. I'm putting aside many flaws in my generous 3 out of 10 rating. How the hell can Shenmue 3 have worse voice acting than 1 and 2? Oh man. You guys were so excited before, never would have even considered it. I know. Like, I was excited, but I honestly, I need to stress, like, I was super excited, but I did go in with low expectations, because I thought this can't be this big, massive AAA game. So I expected it to be on a small scale, but you know, people are making games with a lot more intense, you know, big, massive stories than this on a hell of a lot smaller budget than these guys got. Hoping Scouse is gonna buy it. Don't take food out of our children. 1 out of 4. Quarter of Shenmue 1 has more story. Yeah, I know. Ace said it best. He did. Right. Okay, so Al's question, to crack on. Al's question was to name 5 things that I like about the game. He picked 5 because he knows that it's virtually impossible to do. And honestly, this is like, I sat here racking my brains to try and think of, I mean, how bad's that? I mean, how bad is that? Like, you should be able to just, like, I should be able to just rack off 5 things I like. You know, if we were talking about other games, I could reel off 5 things that I like about it just in 10 seconds. This, I was sat ages and ages trying to think of something. So here's what I've come up with. One is that I do like the whole fast travel mechanic, but the thing is, every one of these I like, and then it always comes with a but. So I really like the fast travel mechanic that they did, because the fast travel mechanic is like a mix between the one that was in Shenmue 1 and the one that... It's a mix between 1 and 2. So 1 had no fast travel mechanic at all. You just had to do it... Well, it did, but it was crap. The 1 had virtually no fast traveling at all. 2 had fast traveling, but the way it worked was like... I don't know. Like, if you had to meet someone at 5 p.m, you'd like wake up at 9 a.m, out of your hotel, and it would say to you, do you want to fast travel to meet them at 5 p.m? And your option was yes, and you go straight to 5 p.m. and you meet them. Or you say no, and you have to hang, and then you've kind of committed to not fast traveling at all. It's like, no, once you've committed to that, then it's like, you know, because you might think, oh no, I fancy popping off to the arcade. So you pop off to the arcade, but you're done at the arcade by 10:30, and you think, now I want to fast travel to 5 p.m, but you can't. It's like, you know, in 2, you either fast travel there and then, or not at all. In this one, they fixed that by basically saying to you, right, you know, you can go off to this place now at 5 p.m. and we're going to give you a button that kind of lets you do it whenever you want. So as soon as it kind of gave you the notification, like, hey, you can go off there if you want, the button was there, so you could be like, no, I'm going to do some training, I'm going to make some money, I'm going to play some arcades, and then whenever I want, then I can fast travel. So that was good. Sadly, in the second part of the game, and when you enter the different location, they decided to just bin that and just I don't know, they just took it away. I don't know what they were thinking. They just, I mean, it's just, I don't know if they were drunk making this game or what. Like, some of the decisions are just mind blowing. So yeah, that was a really good mechanic, and then they just removed it from this half the game. That was half already in 2 without the time pass. It was. But yeah, I hope I've got squeezed that in. I like Rio's jacket. So number 2, I am in the minority here, definitely, but I actually quite like the whole combat. Like, it's very different from 1 and 2, but I quite like it. And I like the whole training thing, but as always, it comes with a but. I like the combat and I like the training, but what I don't like is being forced to do it. So it's like, just because I like something doesn't mean I want them to go, right, well, you have to do 3 hours of it straight to progress in the game. So that kind of ruins it. It's like, you know, I liked it, but then it just gets rammed down your throat because they force you to do so much of it. So again, kind of given a thing I like there and then simultaneously slagged it off at the same time. I've got no idea, Claudio. There needs to be some good excuse. The intro music? We're really like scraping the barrel here. Still got the Shenmue music. I mean, that is genuinely, that might be the best part about the whole game. That it's still got the Shenmue music. I mean, it would be a catastrophic decision for them to get rid of that. Well, that's the funny thing, Claudio. They reused I think the only bit that they reused is like the iconic Shenmue music, and that for me is the best music, although obviously there might be a bit of nostalgia thrown in there. So I think a lot of the other music is new stuff, and most of it's, well, some of it's alright, some of it's not. I mean, the music's definitely not the worst bit of the game, you know. I'll give it that. Oh yeah, so okay, so number four. I know we're scraping the barrel here, but it does look quite nice, and that is possibly the best thing about it. That they've still got the Shenmue style graphics, but it's an upgrade, so it does look good. You know, Rio looks good, and you know, the whole kind of the landscape, the villages, they look very nice. So I think there's no disputing that kind of on a semi-low budget, they've made a game that looks quite nice. That's probably the best. That's probably the highlight of the game, that it looks quite nice. And I think this is a real stretch. But because this didn't last long, one thing I liked, because people might be shocked to hear how much I dislike it, because they might have heard me talk about it when I first started playing it, because one of the things I loved when I first started playing it was this, you know, I had this massive like nostalgic anticipation of what was to come, and I was like, oh my god, I'm finally, you know, I'm controlling Rio again, what's gonna happen, we've just left the cave. You know, we're looking for Shenhua's dad. Like, you know, there was just an excitement about like, oh, I don't know what's to come. And it was only when it sunk in about 5 hours, 10 hours later that nothing had happened. That I like, you know, there's only so long the anticipation could keep going before you just think, oh, for God's sake, like, we're going nowhere. Like, yeah, like, so yeah, I mean, I was so excited, and I think that kind of almost made me love it at the start, because at the start I was like, at the start it starts great, I think, because you don't know how much grinding there is to come. You don't know that they're going to repeat a bunch of stuff. You don't know. Hey, Mane scored. I needed that. I was expecting something to happen when you told me Shenmue 2 ended with a major cliffhanger and 3 started with them chilling on a village. Yeah, I know. It didn't really explain how they got at, as far as I remember, it didn't really explain how they got at the cave. I don't know, like, it's bad. It really is. But right, so here's my little like bullet point list of flaws. I was waiting for there to be a huge intro, but it was so quick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's so, like, it feels so rushed, and I've heard loads of fans say, "Oh, but this was the way it was planned." I don't believe that. I like, you know, they've said, "Oh, but it, you know, it was written years ago." I think the best explanation I can come up with is that, you know, it was supposed to be in like chapters. I think he'd said it was going to be 7 chapters long or whatever. My only explanation is that he thought that, I'm just throwing out chapter numbers, it doesn't matter, but the only explanation I can think is that he thought, in his head, he thought, right, game number 3 is going to be chapter 4 and 5, but when they got round to it, he was like, oh, we've only got enough time to do chapter 4. So it kind of, if you'd have done chapter 4 and 5 in the one game, it, you know, you could have paced it better, and it would have been a, you know, just a better, much better game with more stuff happening. But they probably thought, oh, there just isn't enough time to make, you know, there isn't enough time to make the game that I want, so we're just gonna basically have to cut it in half.
Here we go.
Oh, I'm glad that I paid the minimum into the Kickstarter, that's for sure. Or almost. I think, I don't know if it was the minimum, but it was quite low. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think, is that he couldn't do as much as he wanted, so he thought, right, we can only do this, but we can't release a 5-hour game, so we best fill it with trash. Because that's one of my big annoyances, is how short the game would be. The game would be tiny if you got rid of all the rubbish. Yeah, I think Shenmue 1 was chapter 1, and then the boat to Japan, or sorry, the boat to China was supposed to be chapter 2, but we never saw that. And then I think Shenmue 2 was chapter 3 and chapter 4, because it was quite a lot happened. And then I guess that's what I mean. I guess so. This would be 4 and 5. No, 5 and 6. Except I reckon he probably didn't get a chance to do it. Just remembered I paid into the Kickstarter for a t-shirt as well, and I never got it. To be honest, that's another horror show, by the way. In terms of how this was handled, like, absolute amateurs. Like, they just messed up. Loads of the stuff was just like, things haven't been sent out, and like, apparently you'll get it. You'll get it one day, Al. But yeah, the Kickstarter thing of like sending out the rewards has been a bit of a mess. I think one of the things is that it used to be Shenmue 1 and 2, like, people keep saying, oh, it's fine, because, you know, that's what Shenmue 2 was about. It was about these little, like, the day-to-day grinds or whatever. I think the difference was that Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 had a big story one day. Shenmue 1 and 2 had a big story that was accompanied by little bits, you know, little bits of going to the arcade, doing jobs, you know, feeding the local cat, all that. Like, there was little side missions along the way, but it was like, It was like meaty story with some nice kind of things to fill your days. Whereas this was loads of stuff to fill your days and a little bit of story. It was like, you know, it was just the kind of the other way round from the way the other games have been. It was like, you know, it was like the story was like a side issue and the real meat of the game was crap, like making money and fishing and jobs and talking and training and not talking and training and, you know. But yeah, so, you know, I went into this, I've said it loads of times, I went in with super low expectations. All I wanted, I remember I must have said this on the Discord and on Twitter and all sorts of different places half a dozen times, that all I wanted was like the thing that I wanted, the thing that I expected was just good story. Like, I wanted the story to progress well, and I wanted some fun QTEs. That was it. Like that's to me. I mean, I knew we were going to get good music. That's kind of textbook. All I wanted was fun QTEs and good story, and I didn't get either. They screwed up both. They really did. Like, the QTEs have been completely ruined. They're not fun. They're way too fast. Like, you just can't. Almost everyone will fail them all first time round, and then you do it by memory because they're stupid. You know, they've given you like 0.3 seconds to react or something stupid. I'm playing Yakuza 0 at the moment and just thinking, I keep playing it and just thinking, God, like they got that right. You know, here's something where they got it right and Shenmue didn't, and like here, you know, here's something else where they got it right and Shenmue didn't. Like they could have, like, Yakuza has like QTEs mixed into the fights, and that would have been really fun. Like, you're in the middle of a fight, and you know, and then there's a QTE in the middle of it or whatever. Could have done that, didn't. Could have given you a reasonable amount of time to complete them, didn't. One of the biggest things is that, I don't know, you know, fans of Shenmue 1 and 2 will remember this, that when you do used to be that when you did a QTE, there were kind of different paths you could go in terms of, like, you know, so a long QTE might be like 10 or 15 buttons, and you're like, say you're chasing someone down the street, and you might, like, you accidentally, you know, like someone throws a crate in front of you and you're supposed to press a button to jump over it, and you accidentally don't, and so you kind of trip over and you're a bit further behind the guy that you're chasing than you should be, but you keep going, and then like something else happens and you might accidentally bump into someone, but you carry on going, and there's different ways that you can do a QTE, so you can make a mistake and you get punished. And they do that actually in Yakuza, where there's QTEs in mid-battle, and if you mess up the QTE, you just get hurt, basically. You just lose HP, and so you get punished. You carry on, but you get punished. And in Shenmue 1 and 2 they did the same. You know, if there was room to make a mistake or two in the QTE and you just got punished for it, you were a bit slowed down, and if you missed it 2 or 3 times, then you failed. In this, nope. One fail, back to the start. And again, I'm going to keep saying this word, but it's just laziness. The reason they've done it blatantly is because they couldn't be bothered to come up with different, like, routes. So rather than be like, well, if he fails at this crate, we'll go off in a different direction, and you know, it's a different set of QTEs. They just thought, nah, we'll just have one path, and if you fail at any point, you go straight back to the beginning. I have to redo it and do it all again. That's the only kind of that's the only conclusion I can come to. It's laziness. They used to have multiple diverging paths where you could afford to make the odd mistake, and then in this they went, nah, every single QTE is going to play out exactly the same. Yeah, I know. You'd think they could get it right. Yeah, exactly. There should be consequences. It's one of the things, because, like, it always used to, you know, like, I used to always say, oh, I love the QTEs in Shenmue, and people would go, QTEs, they're so garbage. And I used to say, no, they are garbage in all the other games, QTEs are always rubbish in other games, but Shenmue get it right. Shenmue do QTEs the way they're supposed to be done. Well, Shenmue 3 didn't. They did them garbage. Just like the rest. They thought they'd copy everyone else. The bare minimum is basically the way to describe any game. Yeah, it's just laziness all throughout the game. So yeah, story, non-existent. Pacing, awful. I mean, this is not an exaggeration. It took me, I reckon, about 25 hours to complete the game. And this is not an exaggeration. More happens in the final 30 minutes than in the other 24 and a half hours. How the hell can that be true? How can you have more happen in the final 30 minutes than the other 24 and a half hours combined? It makes absolutely no sense. It's boring. It's just like, oh, man. They just spent way too much time forcing you to grind. Oh, you gotta do horse dance. Oh, you've gotta, like, and also, yeah, they used the exact same, like, trope in both towns. It was like, you arrive in a town. Oh, there's a bunch of thugs who are bothering the locals. Chase the thugs. Oh, you found the thugs. You fight them. No, you can't beat them. Alright, you'll have to go find the Grandmaster. Oh, you found a Grandmaster. Well, I will teach you as long as you buy me something really expensive. Okay, well, I best raise a load of money. Oh, well, I will teach you as long as you beat the like Kung Fu Master in the local hall. Alright, fine. Do that. Go to the next town. Oh, local thugs. Oh, I'll find them. Can't beat them up, they're too strong. Find the local master. Oh, well, I'll teach you as long as you find something. Spend a load of money, and you've got to beat the local, the master of the local martial arts hall. Like, identical. How was there no one in the game development process who just went, come on, guys, this is mental. This is absolutely absurd. Like, we've just used the same system twice in back to back. I mean, it'd be one thing to kind of reuse something from a previous game, but to reuse something that you've just done hours earlier is like, it's mind-boggling how they thought they could get away with it. Like, I don't know. Clearly they have got away with it, haven't they? They've fooled us all. Maybe you didn't understand it, but that's what it is. I didn't get it. Didn't get it. That was when I left. That was when I left you? When you arrived at the new town and realized they were putting you through the same stuff? Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I had the patience because I kept going because I thought, come on, something's going to happen. At that point, I was 10 or 15 hours into the game or something and nothing had happened. I don't know. But yeah, so, what else? I've got, I'm reading my bullet points because I just don't want to miss anything because I've got so much to say. Some of them are small, some of them are big. So apart from the two gangs that you've got to chase, so that, I just mentioned there's two gangs of thugs. Apart from them, can you remember another fight in the game? There's virtually no fighting. Which means, it just means that the whole nonsense of going to the martial arts halls, doing the horse dance, doing the training, getting stronger, it just makes it even more of a joke. Because you don't fight, you never fight anyone. You fight the two sets of thugs, and then you fight a gang of people in the lead up to Land E, and that is it. There are no fights in the game. Where's the little, just the little bits and bobs that you'd get in Shenmue 1 and 2 along the way? Like, no fights at all. So, we're training and training and training. It's all a waste of time, because really, the only purpose for the training is that the one or two fights in the game are virtually impossible if you don't train. So yeah, if you don't train, those fights are virtually impossible. Crappy arcade games. I mean, I know this sounds silly, but I've listed it all, baby. The arcade games are just crap. Like, where's the darts, man? Where's all Yu Suzuki's games? I mean, Whack-A-Mole was alright, but like, I just didn't think going to the arcade was fun anymore. Like, there was nothing fun to do. The last gang leader's the worst looking NPC in a game I've ever seen. Background characters from Shenmue 1 look miles better. He does have a face. He doesn't look like he's skipped face day. Yeah, also, like, why are we being... I mean, I suppose you can always go, oh, well, they were hard or whatever. You know, the thing is, if you want to just argue it... oh, the cop chase game? That was the worst game. I mean, that's the worst game I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what that was. I mean, I could have come up with something better than that. Give me an hour, and I could have invented a game that was better than that game. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, fans are going to defend it and say, oh, well, it's because of this. You know, maybe they were really tough. Maybe they were high-level human dudes or whatever. But why are we getting beaten up by random thugs in these local thugs around villages? Like, we went through Shenmue 1 and 2 and we got pretty tough. I'm not saying we're taking on, like, I'm not saying it, you know, we're going to take on Landy or whatever, but we were pretty tough. I mean, we single-handedly beat Dionu, whatever his name is, the big monster on the top of the, on the rooftop in Shenmue 2. We took on that monster on our own. And then there's that Master Bailu or whatever in the kind of basement when we had to save Joy. Single-handedly taken on like proper monsters. And then we go in Shenmue 3 and we're getting battered by some thugs, some jokes. I don't even know what, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm sure Ryo should be harder than this. Do you think it's done well financially enough for Shenmue 3? I don't think it got top 10 on the... I think it's probably done terrible, Paul. I mean, I don't know, because they kind of... As I said earlier, but the fact that they're very discreet about the numbers suggests it didn't do well, because I think if it was doing well, they'd be bragging about it, and they'd, you know... Even if it was as much to say, hey, we sold 100,000 in the first week or whatever, I think if they had something to brag about, they would, and they haven't. I think the vast majority of copies were free copies just via the Kickstarter. I can't imagine that. I mean, obviously, some fans have bought duplicate copies so that they can have a sealed one in their cupboard or whatever, or buy one for a family member or whatever, but I just don't think it's going to sell particularly. I think it's going to bomb. I don't know. Are sales figures public knowledge or whatever? Like, there must be some way to find them out. Or is it just down to whether the company wants to release them or not? According to a source I'm reading now, it got number 17 in the EU. In Japan, it bombed hard. Fight against Master Bailu is potentially my favourite fight in the series. Yeah, yes, but that's a really good fight. And then you've got the fight against Junyu. And again, we're battering these, like, or at least winning fights against these absolute monsters, these, like, martial arts masters. And then we're getting beaten up by a bunch of thugs in the next game, when we arguably should be even stronger. Only if they're publicly traded. Okay. So yeah, crappy arcade games. Why are we getting beaten up by random thugs? I mean, I can get past all this, but it is jam-packed with technical flaws. I would be more than happy to just turn a blind eye to all those. If it were like, I'm only mentioning it because it's in a long list of 50 other problems. But, you know, stupid little things like random, you know, why are we getting random loading screens in the middle of a conversation? Or like, you know, you'll be in the middle of talking to a person and this is like a cutscene, and mid-conversation in a cutscene, the screen will like fade to black and then fade back into the, you know, and it's not like a cut. Like, it's not showing a passage of time. It's just like, I don't know what's happened. I don't know what. Like, so many little like technical flaws like that. But as I say, I won't bang on about them because like I'd have been happy to. You know, I expected it to be low budget and pretty amateurish. And the reason I dislike it isn't because of, you know, a few technical problems. So it's not that big a deal. Hate that you beat the second gang leader, but the scripted cutscene has you losing. Yeah, again, yeah, I was beating him. Or I was doing, like, and there was another one as well, like, where it was like, I'm sure it basically forced me to lose even though I wasn't gonna.
Where is she?
Game would be probably, I mean, the game would literally be about half the size if this is one of the worst. Oh, I know. Oh, don't worry, I'm coming to it, Ace. Ow.
Hand over the mirror.
Yeah, I think the game would genuinely be half the length if they hadn't have filled it with all these trash mechanics to try and stretch it out. If they didn't say, like, you know, I mean, some people who haven't played the game might think I'm exaggerating.
So
If they didn't say, like, oh, you know, you have to beat this, you know, you have to beat this particular martial arts master to progress, and to do that, you're gonna have to do a couple of hours of horse stance, and, you know, whatever. If they hadn't have, you know, if they hadn't have done that, and they hadn't have went, oh, now suddenly you need 5,000 quid to buy this new item that you have to progress. You know, if they remove that garbage kind of grinding, the game would be half the size.
Go to the next room.
And again, and then I think if the game had been 10 hours long, people would have kicked off. So they've stretched it, but in reality, they've stretched it with garbage. I'd have rather it was 10 hours. I'd have rather 10 hours of fun than 20 hours where I hated half of it.
Well, you still have to make it.
Character development, non-existent. Like, next bullet point. Like, I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like, do you know towards the end when it's like you and all your mates are going off to the castle to take on Lan-Di, and there's like Ling Shi Ling, there's the fat guy, there's the guy who sails the boat, and obviously Ren. You know, it's like all the gang together, we're all going in, you know, we're all buddies. That was a really good idea if it wasn't like all of those people were complete strangers to me. Like, what, like, again, it was like, you know, like, because they did these things with Shenmue 1 and 2 and they got it right. Like, you went on missions with Ren, like climbing the Yellowhead building, and you cared about him, and you went on, you did things with Guizhang, and you did the 70-man battle, and you actually, like, and there's the whole thing with Terry, and like you were supposed to go after Guizhang, and you know, there was all kinds of things where in previous games where you interacted with the other characters and it felt like you kind of knew them and whatever, so it meant something when they were, you know, they were in danger, or what, you know, you had to double cross them or whatever, you know. Whereas they've it's like they've manufactured this thing of like, yeah, you know, it's all a crew together, but it's like, I don't even know who you are. You're like the Ling Shi Ling, I've spoke to you like once. You've had no role in the game at all. The guy on the boat, I mean, I've spoke to him maybe twice, and the fat guy, I've probably spoke to him twice. Like, I don't know, like, that could, you know, that had potential to be like, yeah, it's the crew together, we're all you know, all these mates, you know, we're all mates and we're all gonna kind of do it together, and that could have been really good if I cared about any of the characters involved. But again, they, you know, zero character development, so I can't imagine that anyone playing this game cared about those people. Yeah, I know, like, Ren brought them along and I thought, what are you doing? Characters were so random and I can only feel how awful they have Ren there just for nothing. Even with Ren's gang, Charlie Cool Z, Chick with the Broom, had a side quest, but it was absolutely trash and didn't develop her character in the slightest. Oh yeah. So, yeah, one thing, I hear people, like, loads of people are moaning about the whole stamina thing, and like, I don't think it's that big a problem, because it's just, you know, it's pretty quick and easy to eat, but it is completely pointless. Like, it's completely pointless. So just remove it. You know, get rid of it and you lose nothing. So it's like, it's not a big inconvenience to have it there, but it adds nothing to the story. It adds not, you know, it's not fun. It's nothing. Like, it's just a waste of time, and if anything, it's probably just another cheeky way to slow you down, another way to stretch the game. because it's like, well, you've got to buy, you know, you've got to eat, you got to buy food. Food costs money, so you best go chop some wood, waste another hour of your life. Do you know what I mean? Like, the only purpose of food is that's the only thing I can come up with. The only purpose for it being there is just, you know, we're gonna force you to go make some money, and thus slow you down a bit. Stamina meter was your most hated mechanic. Costs a fair bit to keep buying foods. Yeah, it does. It does cost a fair bit, and you got to keep chopping wood and whatever. And you know, the thing is, like, I thought chopping wood was quite a laugh. You know, it was one of the better. I'd rather chop wood than move crates in Shenmue 2, definitely. So I didn't mind it as a game, but as a job or whatever. But when they put you in a situation where you have to do tons of it, again, it takes the fun out of it. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's like unbelievable. I mean, all of this comes to, like, every single bullet point here, I could just add the word lazy. You know, the mechanics to just lengthen the game, lazy. No character development, lazy. Using the exact same, like, story arcs in both towns, lazy. You know, the food thing to kind of prolong the game, lazy. You know, it's got loads of technical flaws, lazy. The arcade games are bad, lazy. Like, they didn't bother to make good QTEs, lazy. The story's non-existent, lazy. There are almost no fights in the game. Apart from the 2 sets of thugs that you have to fight. There's pretty much no fights in the game at all. Lazy. It's mind-boggling. Stamina meter makes sense in a survival game or big exploration open world. Yeah, here it's just, I mean, as I say, I don't think it was a big inconvenience, but it was just like, well, you know, whatever, get rid of it. It's like, it's not fun, is it? It's not, I don't know, it doesn't add anything of value. Did you hear about using hot tub? One of the biggest things, for me, I don't know how you feel, and I guess this is something for existing fans more, is that I feel proper robbed by the hype. Because with all the trailers that were going on about, I mean, I've got it written down here so I don't forget. So they really built up that new woman. I can't even remember her name. That's how big a character she is. I can't remember her name. I mean, what kind? She must be a real, like, groundbreaking character. I can't remember her name. So they built up that new character. She got about 60 seconds of game. Like, in the trailers, it was like, oh my god, who's this big new bad, you know, this new woman? She's evil, you know. Who is she? She got about 60 seconds of game time. And I'm not exaggerating. They built up the fact that Chai was coming back. And it was like, oh my god, Chai's coming back. Everyone loves Chai, but, you know, it's like a love-hate. You know, everyone loves Chai. Can't wait to see Chai again. 60 seconds, maybe? I think he gets, like, a little fight and a QTE. Like, what a complete joke. They build up the fact that Landy's coming back. He gets about 60 seconds in the game. Like, they build up the fact that Ren was coming back. Nothing happens. He's barely in it. Like, it's mind-blowing. Like, I thought, oh yeah, you know, Ren's coming back. Even though I'm not a massive, like, he's not my favourite character or anything. But I thought, you know, Ren's back, this is going to be good. Nope, barely in the game. We were supposed to be able to play as him. They were saying in the build-up to the game, this wasn't like possibility or whatever. They said, before it came out, there will be points in the game where the game will diverge, kind of like Yakuza actually, where, you know, sometimes you'll be controlling Ryo, and other times in the game you'll be controlling Ren. So we were supposed to be able to control Ren. Didn't happen. He got more than 60 seconds. He might have got 5 minutes. It's only a 25-hour game. You got 5 minutes of game time. Good stuff. Now, generally, a trailer, in my mind at least, is a taster of what's to come. Like, that's the way I see it. It's like, hey, look, here's a few kind of exciting bits that are going to grab your attention. And it's like, you know, you're going to see this and think, oh, what's going to happen? You know, what else could happen? And in fact, the intro, I'm going to keep referring to it because it's a good example of where they went, you know, of what they should have done. The intro to Yakuza is quite a good example of this. The intro to Yakuza shows you a load of scenes and you're like, oh, I want to know what does that mean? You know, when we get to it, I can't wait to get to that bit and find out what that's all about. And that's what that's to me what a trailer should be. It should be a taster of what's to come. But Shenmue 3 had so little happen that they just didn't have enough footage. They didn't have enough footage to be able to do a trailer and leave stuff untold. So the trailer is everything that happens in the game. It's mind blowing. It's like the trailer. I mean, the bit where the bit in the trailer where Ryo says something like I'll avenge my father or something to Lan-Di. That's the end of the game. That is the end of the game. Since when? Ever have you seen the end of a game in a trailer? I mean, it's... What? Who shows the final cutscene of a game in the pre-release trailer? Like, because they just had nothing else. And it's pure deceit, is what it is. They did it because people will go, oh my god, look, they're showing us a little bit of Lan-Di in the trailer, so there must, if they're showing us a bit now, there must be loads more of it. Nope, that was it. Like, that bit in the trailer was all the Lan-Di you're getting. You've seen it all. Watch the trailer, that's it. Don't bother playing the game. Yeah, exactly, Al. Like, they gave you... talk about Lan-Di, Scouse. I remember your expectations of beating them this time around. Well, no, I mean, oh, don't tell a lie. Yeah, I early on, I thought maybe we'll kind of beat Lan-Di and put the, like, we'll kind of put that to bed, the Lan-Di bit, but we'll discover that there's a, Lan-Di's got a boss and there's something else going on above his head or whatever. That kind of, I thought that might be the way they go. So, like, we beat Lan-Di, but that's not the real end. There's, there's someone above his, there's a boss above him who's, the next kind of, and then we've got to chase them down or whatever. But, nope. We just, couldn't even land a hit on him. I mean, I know that he's supposed to be a beast and we're still learning, but we literally, I mean, like, you go through like 25 hours of game to face him, and you face him for about 30 seconds in a fight where you are forced to lose. It's physically impossible to land a hit on him. You just have to mess around for 30 seconds, and then it's a cutscene. It's like so anticlimactic. This is like a 20-year wait for this trash. I mean, besides saving Shenmue's dad, the story barely moved forward. Yeah, didn't move. Yeah. This has to be said, you deserve a massive amount of credit for the positivity you have recorded in the series, even when you must have been so disappointed. Yeah, I mean, I felt like the positivity went away towards the end, to be fair. I started out quite positive, and that was I was genuinely excited and thought, oh, what's to come? And then 10 hours in, I was starting to flag a bit, but, and then towards the end, I just gave up trying to be positive. But yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, like, you compare. Maybe I've missed. I think I might have missed the point. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. So if you think about how much happens in Shenmue 1 and 2, I mean, I could reel it off now. Like what happens in Shenmue 1 and 2. I'm not gonna do the whole game, but Shenmue 1, your dad dies. And then you're on the hunt. All you know is that there's a guy in Chinese robes. So you ask about Chinese guys. You end up, you find out about a gang. You go to that tattoo parlor. You find out the gang of, he's potentially mixed up in the Chinese mafia. That's quite cool. And then oh, well, what, you know, where can you find out more about the Chinese mafia? Well, they do, you know, they do some smuggling down at the docks. So you head down to the docks, you get a job, you meet up with, you know, there's another gang, the Mad Angels. You're trying to get tickets to China to chase Landy. There's so much happens in 1 and 2, and you know, and like what I could do the same with 2. I'm not even. I genuinely think in the first couple of hours of both games, more happens than in the entirety of 3. It's mind blowing. You know, there's like so much happens in 1. You could like, and that was, you know, nothing happens in 3. But yeah, I mean, and Al mentioned it before, but I think we might be coming to it again. We've gone full circle of this 30-minute, because you know, this is the final episode that I uploaded, and you know, it's only about 30 minutes long. But here we are with this ludicrous twist with the woman. I mean, maybe she could be wearing a wig or whatever. I'll let that go. But what? I mean, so many questions. 1, she's got a for about 80% of the game, she's got a fairly modest chest, and then the big reveal at the end, she's got ginormous boobs. Like, where was she hiding them? Where were they being hidden? Like, you can wear a wig, you can't do anything about that. Her face is different. Why is she even doing this? Why was she disguised? If she knew we had the mirror, why didn't she just take it off us? She's been chatting to us through the whole game. She could have just sent her crew after us. You know, she must have a bunch of minions. Why didn't she just go, yeah? You know, like, I know what she could have said to her guys. I know what hotel he's staying at because I chat to him every day. Why don't you just pop around there and beat him up? It's not like Mario knows her, isn't it? No, he doesn't know her. It's mental. And the funny thing is, like, it's so like, I mean, they kind of had to make it. It was just weird from the beginning. Because you first got off the boat and the camera zooms in on her, and I remember saying like, oh, who's that? Well, she's going to be a character, because they've already, you know, she's already had too much screen time to just be a passerby or whatever. And then it just kept showing her, and it's like, this is weird. Why you know, like, I don't know. It was like you knew there was a twist coming because they just kept showing you. Pop around the hotel. Room 201. There you go. I mean, it's mental. She's been chatting to us like the whole time. I mean, why? I don't know. I don't know. What were they thinking? I mean, it was like they wanted to do a twist, and they thought, what can we do that's a twist? Yeah, we'll just do this. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever. We'll roll with it.
It's locked.
And I've mentioned it already, but potentially, I mean, this isn't game related, but potentially the biggest kick in the teeth of them all is that they've made a trash game.
Here we go.
But that's fine, because, you know, well, it's to an extent. You know, we've like raised money to make. We've raised money for Shenmue 3, and they've made what I would say is a trash game, which is fine, because that's the you know, when you back a game, that's the risk you take. You know, you might back a game and it might end up being garbage. So that's fine. But they have made a separate DLC, clearly using the money for Shenmue 3. So they've built that alongside it, and now they're going to charge for it? I just don't, I mean, how is that even legal? I don't, I mean, that's like, it's mind-blowing. Like, they have made a separate DLC. Alright, Crow Name, how's it going? What possible reason could Shenmue have for trusting her as well? She didn't even know her. She would never have just... I know, it's mental. Makes no sense. I don't even know. Shenmue had barely met her. We'd met her in the street a couple of times. Suddenly, you know, we've a couple of... Oh yeah! This video now. What a joke this is. And these are all like... They keep using old NPCs and old character designs. Some of Landy's men are people in a previous game, except it's not the same person. They've just reused the same face. And you know, this is like the big moment. Can you, like, again, like, compare it to the other games. The big moments in Shenmue 1 are like, you know, like, I'm talking about like end of game. Big moments is a big showdown with Chai. Number 2, big showdown with Junyu. Like big, you know, epic battles. This, QTE, 10-second fight that's impossible impossible to do anything with. Like, I know that these are supposed to be kung fu gods. Ren just, I know Ren's kind of like caught him off guard or whatever, but these are supposed to be like gods. I'm getting beaten up by random thugs in the, you know, down in Bailu village, getting beaten up by some random thug, and here I am with Landy's right hand man, and I can just battle him first go. It doesn't make any sense. Why are these random thugs battering us? And yet you come to, like, you know, Landy's right hand men. These have got to be the best of the best, and we just battle them. It makes no sense at all. And I didn't even write this down on the list, but I said it in the video. I said as I was walking into this room, I said in the video, I really hope they haven't changed Landy's voice actor. And then he speaks, and it's a completely different voice. Not even similar. Like, he sounds like a completely different person. I'm not bothered. Maybe the voice actor was busy. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's got out the game. I don't know. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. But maybe they couldn't get the original voice actor. But Jesus, I mean, impersonators exist. They only had to get him to say one line. Could they not have found one person who could say one line similar to how Landy sounded? Like, he doesn't even... I mean, Landy has actually only spoken once in the whole game. So, he didn't speak at all in Shenmue 2. He's just, like, he appears on a helicopter and just flies away. The only time Landy has ever spoke is in the first couple of minutes of Shenmue 1. That's it. So that's the only thing we've got. And I don't know, he's just... I always felt like it was a pretty iconic voice.
It seems you've improved a bit.
And now I don't know. Like, no, I know what you mean now. I know. Like,
I will avenge my father.
like they ruined him. Wanted to do that twist they should have made more important. Yeah, exactly. If you could, I mean, the same rule applies to every character in the game. If you want to do something crazy with her, she can't have 60 seconds of game time. Like, you can't have like, no one cares about a twist if you haven't had a chance to, like, build up the bit that isn't the twist, if you know what I mean. Like, does Landy kill you in this game? Is there a bad ending? I don't think so, but I don't. Honestly, I mean, this sums it up. I mean, I suppose this might not sound like a big deal, but I completed it and I just snap deleted it off my PS4. Obviously, I can re-download it if I want, but I won't be. Yeah, I completed it and just deleted it, and that was that. Like, I have absolutely no, and there's like an NG+. Absolutely no chance of playing the NG+. And absolutely no chance I'll ever play the game ever again. It was just a bad game. I mean, I give it a 5 out of 10, and I think, to be honest, I think I'm being very kind. I think if it wasn't Shenmue, if it wasn't called Shenmue and it was a standalone game, I don't think I'd have even finished it. I'd have just thought, God, this is awful. This is bloody awful. This is like a really crappy, low-budget, indie, boring game made by people who clearly don't know how to develop games. They just, like, it feels like it's been made by people who just don't know how to make games. And you can only assume, I don't know, you can only assume that they're not, I don't know, that they didn't have gamers to oversee it. Because surely any gamer would have went, hang on guys, this is mad. Like, you can't have a game where it's 70% grinding or 80% grinding and 20% game. That's not the way it works. I mean, grind and fine, like, make it an optional thing. So if you want to grind, great, and if you don't, you don't. Whereas this goes, Well, you better grind, otherwise the game's impossible. Just mad. When you realise the final battle was a series of random thugs, a boss thug, a cutscene QTE, and finally an unwinnable fight. I know, it's madness. Does Landy? No, he does not. Harsh to say, but you belongs in the past or his mobile game market now. The passion must still be there, but he's just after it. Yeah, I mean, the ending was semi-cool, but I mean, you're like, I quite liked the whole. But this is real clutching at straws. You know, I quite liked the whole, like, like SHENMUE, Ren, and Rio walking off together, and it's like, oh, you know, what will, you know, what's to come next? And part of me wants to know, but part of me just thinks, no, I don't want to play another game that's like that. So if 4 is going to offer more story, but the gameplay is like that, then I just don't think I'll watch a video of it. I'll watch someone else do a let's play of it. Oh yeah, they raised loads of money, so they got, think about it, as Al's covered it. So there was the Kickstarter, which was about 8 million, biggest Kickstarter ever. And then Sony funded it because Sony said I'll fund it as long as it's a Sony exclusive in terms of consoles. And then Epic Games funded it and said as long as we'll fund it as long as it's an Epic Games exclusive on PC. I don't know what Deep Silver's thing is. But yeah, this is not a. That's what I mean. I'm giving credit for it being like this low budget indie thing, but I don't know, it's gotta be 15, 20 million plus. We know that they got about 8 million just from the fans. It's gotta be like, I'm not saying it's like 200 million like Red Dead Redemption or whatever, but it's not a cheap game. Deep Silver are the publishers, they must have put a fair whack in. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I don't know, like, I guess I'm glad I played it. I guess I am glad I played it, because I'd have wanted my own opinion. Because if I'd have just listened to the opinions of Shenmue fans, I'd have probably thought, oh, this is brilliant, it's good on, great work, you. Because that's what most fans think. So I'm glad I played it myself, and I'm not bothered. Like, I'm not, it's been a long time since I've been a sheep. Now I just don't care what other people think, and I just go with, my own opinion, and I'm quite happy to be in the minority. And I know, like, every time I speak up, there's a couple of Shenmue Facebook groups that I'm in, and every time I speak up, I know I'm going to get, like, the pitchforks out, because you're not allowed to, like, if you don't like Shenmue 3, then you're not a proper fan. Be grateful for what you're given. But I'm afraid the good thing about Shenmue 1 and 2 is that they were fun. And I think having now played I'm playing through Yakuza 0 now. Having played that, it just seriously at every turn I just think this is where they went wrong. Like, the combat's fun, the QTEs are fun, they give you a reasonable amount of time to react, the characters, the story's fun, it's action packed, the characters are really well developed. There's been loads of moments where it's like, oh, what, like, I like proper feel for the characters. Honestly, I mean, can you imagine if they'd have killed in this? They'd have killed Ling Xiling or something. I'd have been like, like, if pretty much any character they could have killed off in this, then I'd have been like, so got no connection to them at all. 6 more hours of horse stance, that's what it's all about. Yeah, exactly, Al. Yeah, it always used to annoy me that people would say that Yakuza was better, and there was a lot of people, and I feel like such an idiot now, because I was fighting against them, there was a load of people when they were building before Shenmue 3 was coming out, and they were saying that they really hoped that Shenmue 3 would like take on a lot of stuff from Shenmue. Oh, sorry, Shenmue would take on a lot of stuff from Yakuza. You know, so they'd look at Yakuza and be like, oh look, that's how to do it, you know. That's how to do a good QTE system. That's how to do a good combat system. That's how to, you know, they could have, you know, people were saying, I hope that they look to Yakuza and be like, look, this is a mega, it's similar in style, but a seriously successful franchise. Let's take some pointers from it. And they've just like, nope. Yeah, Sega's involved in both. It was on a plate for them. They're similar styles, similar kind of quirky weirdness. Yeah, both very kind of story heavy.
Because my nose is pointing to treasure.
But yeah, like both Sega, they both had the, you know, I mean, you can take an inspiration from any game anyway, whether it's made by the same company or not. Yeah, they had the opportunity to see that there's a franchise that's doing something similar and has been churning out games for, you know, 15 years, and they're really popular and they're doing it well. And I do think it's like, I think Al's mentioned this a couple of times. I think the only thing I can think is just the arrogance of Yu Suzuki, who just thinks, nope, I'm doing it this is my way, I'm doing it my way, and that's it. And this is how I want to do it. I don't care what anyone else says. But I think, for unlucky for him, he's not going to get the chance. I don't think he's going to get the chance to make another game. Or at least not another Shenmue game, I don't think. I just used to put the argument down to Yakuza fans having never played Shenmue at the time, which I still think's valid. There's no question now, though, that... Yeah, I know. It's like a... Yeah. I think if Shenmue wants to have a fourth entry, it needs to properly just accept that, you know, it's got to be like Yakuza. I mean, they're not that far apart in a lot of ways. Or at least or they have, you know, what I mean, they are in terms of quality. But what I mean is, like, it wouldn't be that freakish to if you inserted a lot of the way the gameplay is in Yakuza into Shenmue. It wouldn't. I don't think it would be like, oh my god, this feels weird. This feels totally out of place. I think if you fitted them in, I mean, I think if you'd have made 3 like that, people would have thought, oh wow, you know, this is, you know, still use the same style of graphics as Shenmue and same music and same story kind, you know, and blah blah blah. People would have just thought, oh wow, this is like an upgrade. This is, you know, this is Shenmue in the modern times. It wouldn't feel out of place at all, but they need to just, yeah. They need to move with the times, I'm afraid. I never thought I'd say that because I'm like Mr. Retro, Mr. Nostalgia. But, yep, move with the times and stop. Just ditch the filler, man. Just, I don't even, like, give me a 10-hour game that's good over a 20-hour game that's crap.
I met SHENMUE in Bailu Village.
Is she alright?
But yeah, I think that is a solid hour worth of raging. I can't do much more. I think we've covered every single flaw in the game. I think I've kind of argued my way so much into giving it a lower score than, I mean, I had given it a 5. I'm not even sure it deserves that. After the absolute pasting I've given it tonight, I'm not even sure it deserves that. Yeah, I know it was a slap in the face, including Chai. Like, I mean, imagine if you were like, imagine if this was a film, and they, you know, they said, you know, so it was the, you know, actual actors or whatever, and they went to the actor. Yeah, that's the Gollum, the OG Gollum. Imagine if this was an actual film, and they went to the actor, right, guy, man, we want you back. We're bringing Chai back, and we want you back. And he's like, yeah, I'm on board. And then he realizes his scenes amount to about 30 seconds. Like, It's just, it is a slap in the face. Like, don't even bother including him. He's not even an important part of the story. They, like, you discover this, like, map, and he snatches it off you, and then, I mean, that, oh, in fact, I didn't even mention that. That was ridiculous as well. So, he, like, snatches this map off you, the map to the hidden treasure that he's going to give to Landy, and that's going to get him, like, you know, Landy's going to be really impressed with him and whatever. And, you know, yeah. And then Shenmue goes, oh, well, you know, if you were really tough, you'd fight Ryo. And he goes, oh, well, I will then. Like, he'd just say, get lost. I'm off. Like, what? Just because she said, like, oh, well, you know, if you're really that tough, why don't you fight Ryo? So he puts the map down and then has a fight with us. It just makes no sense at all. You just say, get lost. See you later. You know, I've got my map. I'm off. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, so he's in the game purely to steal the map so that you can fight him and get it back off him 30 seconds later.
If it's the mirror you want, here.
I mean, it's crazy. Like you know, that scene didn't have to happen. Is kind of my point. He could have just not stole the map, and we had the map, and we carried on with our day. You know, they've put him in for that alone. It's like, just drop him.
Are you alright?
And again, they probably only did it so that they could have some, you know, another 10-second clip to fill the trailer. Because, you know, can you imagine if they didn't, you know, what would they have put in the trailer? Without all these little snippets, without all this garbage filler, what the hell would they have put in the trailer?
Mr. Yan is there.
I've just realised as well, Scouse, there's only one or two of the black suit guys in this. Yeah, well, I mean, that's like the least. I mean, Landy hasn't got any black suit guys. He's got some pensioners, as you said. Surely Landy would have had hordes of them defending him instead of kung fu pensioners. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Clearly he's, I don't know, sleeping on the job. Whatever, I am going to head off anyway, guys. We've pasted this game now. I mean, this is probably the longest end of series wrap up. I thought it might go longer just because I had so much to say about it. It's such an absolutely horrendous game. It really is. Like, I cannot in good conscience ever recommend this game to anyone. And that's it, isn't it? Like, you know, that's the test. Like, I could say to people now, happily go and pick up the HD remasters of 1 and 2, go play them, they're fun. And I'd say that happily. I will never recommend someone buys this game. Certainly not at the price it is. It's like waste of money, total waste of money. Watch my Let's Play. What? Save yourself a whole heap of pain because I cut out a lot of the grinding, and just watch the Let's Play, and probably just skip to the final episode. A lot of fun. Thanks for the talk. Hope Yakuza gives you the Shenmue love you deserve. It really is. That is the way it's going at the moment. It's filling that void. Right, cheers everyone. I will see you soon, I'm sure. Well, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm streaming. Well, if anyone's around, I'm going to be streaming some more Final Fantasy VII tomorrow night. But I'll see you all later. Cheers for coming along, peeps.